Hi, I'm Jessica and welcome to Rappler Talk. One of our PBA legends just brought home glory to our country as he is but this time as a head coach, as he's the head coach of the 8th ASEAN Basketball League champion, Alab Pilipinas. So kudos on his first coaching stint. Let us welcome Alab Pilipinas head coach, Jimmy Alapag. Hello, welcome Coach Jimmy.
Thanks, B. Thank you.
So as I said, it was your first coaching gig and you are already a champion coach. So how does it personally feel for you?
It's great. It's always nice when you can win, especially for myself, this being my first head coaching job. A great experience. I really enjoyed the whole process. It helps when you have a great group of guys, and it was even better to see them reap the benefit from all their hard work throughout the season. So.
And you had a dramatic finish to your season because it was a best-of-5 final series,
yes.
And you won it in Game 5. But then late in Game 5, you were already up by a lot. So was there a point that you already felt that, yes, we're champions?
We were up around 8 or 10 points, or maybe 12 points going into the fourth quarter. So it's a pretty good lead. But again, against a great team like Mono Vampire from Thailand, we didn't want to take that for granted, and I wanted the guys just to finish it. And I remember telling our coaches during the fourth quarter, I said, man, the time's moving so slow. I wish the clock would just keep running. But probably when it got down to like the last minute and we were still up 10, that was probably the first time I felt like, wow, we did it.
Yeah, and when I speak of dramatic, it's because at the start of the season, you were at a 1-4 record. But so did you already have did you feel uncomfortable, like, oh no, like we have to do something? And this was around before Renaldo Balkman and Brownlee made it to the team.
Yeah. Well, yes, we definitely had our struggles early in the season. It was tough. I say when you're a first-year coach, parang yung isip mo is that things will be okay, and then you'll get off to a good start. And that wasn't the case for us. We had some losses early, and the tough part was we only had 3 games through the first, I think, 6 or 7 weeks of the season. So it's already tough when you lose, but then when you lose and then have to wait 2 weeks, and then you lose again, and then you wait another 2 weeks, and then you lose again, it feels much longer. And the 3 losses felt like 5 or 6 just because of the schedule. So we definitely had our struggles. We had some issues with our import, some injuries. And so things weren't going well for us, but thankfully, we were able to get Justin and Renaldo on board, and from the time that they came in, you could really sense like it was a shot in the arm for our team, and we set off from there.
Yes, and about Renaldo Balkman and Justin, so can you talk about the story on how you got in touch with these 2 imports who made really big contributions to the team?
Well, with Justin, my coaching staff and I, we were going to change our first import, Reggie Okosa, and so, we were kind of brainstorming, trying to figure out who we were going to bring in, and then I actually reached out to one of the top agents here in the Philippines, Cheryl Reyes, and I just kind of threw it out there and said, hey, would Justin Brownlee be available? And she said, yeah, let me contact him, and sure enough, the next day she got back to me and said he'd love to come. So we were shocked, to be honest, just because of all of his success with Ginebra. But it was actually perfect timing for him to continue playing here in the Philippines and then make his transition to Ginebra. So the fact that he committed was incredible for us. We were really excited. So now that we had him, we found out our other import, Ivan Johnson, had sustained an injury that was going to keep him out for an extended amount of time. So that happened about a week before our next game. So it was panic mode. We were excited that we had Justin Brownlee on board, but at the same time, we needed another import. And so Danny Siegel, who's our team consultant, he and I met just in this area, as a matter of fact, till around 2 or 3 in the morning, trying to brainstorm and trying to talk to agents, send out emails, and just try to see who was available and who would be able to come to Manila in 4 or 5 days. And so we brainstormed all night, and we really couldn't find anybody, whether it was an availability issue, whether it was a money issue. It was tough. And so probably around 2:30 a.m., Danny Siegel says, what's Renaldo Balkman doing? And I said, I don't know. And so I messaged Cheryl Reyes, who represented Renaldo in the past. And, you know, thankfully she was awake. She said, yeah, you know, give him a call. So I had his number with me from when we played against each other back in 2014 during the World Cup. So I called him and I said, hey, you know, Renaldo, this is Jimmy Alapag, you know, the guard from the Philippine national team. I said, hey, you know, how's it going? I said, hey, listen, remember our conversation back in 2014 that if I ever got a head coaching job to look you up? I said, well, hey, you know, an opportunity for you to come back to the Philippines is here. I said, because I'm coaching and I'm calling to see if you're available. And he said, I'm coming. He said, you know, I'm on the way. When do I need to be there? And, you know, it really happened that fast. And before you knew it, him and Justin arrived that following Wednesday, and they played that night. And, you know, we were able to beat Malaysia here at home. And again, that really set our team off going forward.
Wow, so it's like everything just fell into place.
Yeah, it was amazing how it all happened. But, you know, again, I got to thank Cheryl Reyes for all of her help, you know, through the whole process. But, you know, it seemed like as bad as things were, it was encouraging that those two guys were coming, and I felt like they were going to give us a chance to be there at the end.
For Renaldo, did the players have any reservations? Like, oh my gosh, it's Renaldo Balkman who's going to play with us. Like, I mean, like he had some like confrontations with Arwin before in the past.
Yeah.
So what was the mindset of the team?
You know, I spoke to the team. Excuse me. I spoke to the team and I told them that, you know, what happened, you know, 5-6 years ago was really an isolated incident, because after that incident, you know, he went on to play for the Puerto Rican national team. They played in multiple world championships. They played, you know, he played in his league in Puerto Rico where they won the championship and he was finals MVP. And he'd played in other countries without incident. And so, you know, I reassured the guys, like, listen, you know, what happened was a long time ago, and I didn't anticipate any problems. And there were really none throughout the season.
Yeah, and he did make it a point to, like, even reconcile with Arwin Santos, I believe, because according to some reports. Yeah, so.
Yeah, he had actually reconciled with Arwin and San Miguel before he left. But again, you know, it wasn't a good way to part ways, considering what had happened. And I felt like, you know, him having an opportunity to come back, I think people would be able to see his true personality and his true character, and I think he showed that this season.
And for Justin's case, because you did mention that you were also shocked that, like, he's leaving. He had a good stint in Ginebra, and now he's gonna play for ABL. So what does it say about ABL as, like, the quality of it compared to, like, the PBA? And
you know, I think the ABL continues to grow. I think it's a great league. I think the people who are running the league are doing a great job, and you know, it's great that the ABL provides another opportunity for players to play at a high level. You know, the PBA is a great league. I spent, you know, 14 years in the PBA. You know, it has such a rich history, and now with the ABL, it just provides other players who have talent, who may not, you know, have opportunities to play in the PBA for whatever reason, an opportunity to play, and not just play, but really play at a high level. You know, that was one of the things that I noticed this first year as head coach in the ABL, was the amount of talent in the league. And so, you know, hopefully the ABL will continue to grow as we move forward.
And you, as a national team member, so how does the ABL compare to the international leagues that you have joined as a player?
You know, coaching in the ABL, the great part about, you know, being able to travel around the ASEAN region, you know, places like Singapore and Malaysia and Indonesia, there's a big Filipino community there. So lahat yung kababayan natin, when we would go to these places, would come out and support. So it was great. I mean, you know, the respective home teams that would play when we would travel, you know, they would put an entire production together for their home team, which was great. But having our Filipino fans there, it made it feel like it was still a home game for us. So that was a huge help for us throughout the season, having that support no matter where we traveled this season.
And I'm sure your winning culture also helped, like, gain that full, like, I mean, like, when you play at home, it's like your stadiums are filled, like even in Davao, in Caloocan, it's always filled. Maybe it's just because of your winning culture, would you say?
Yeah, I think, you know, anytime you say it's a Philippine team, whether it's the national team, it's a club team, there's a certain connection that you have with the fans because they feel like there's a bridge between whether it's for us here at home or our kababayans who work abroad. Playing for a Philippine team, again, whether it's a national team or a club team, there's a connection that forms, and the support was great. We couldn't be more thankful for the fans, mga ka-Alab, who came out throughout this year to support us.
Alab, I like that term. Yeah. So aside from your imports, you had the two-time best local player in the ABL, Ray Parks.
Mm-hmm.
So how's your relationship with him?
Ray, I was fortunate enough to work with Ray with Gilas last summer, and that was really the first time that we really worked together on the same team. And when Gilas played in the Jones Cup, it was the first time I had a chance to really see his game up close. And as much as you heard about him up to that point, about his offense and how talented he was and how he could score, I was more impressed with how he was defensively. When we played Korea in the Jones Cup, I mean, he dominated defensively, in terms of guarding the Korean shooters, the same shooters that have been, a nemesis for us for so long. And so that really drew my attention. And, we were able to kind of, build and establish a relationship back then. And so that was even before the whole Alab head coaching job had even opened up. And so when I did get the job and I knew that he was going to be on board, I just felt like it was going to be an opportunity for us to continue building on that relationship that we started from the summer.
And what can you say about his development throughout this season?
I couldn't be happier for him because, his work ethic is incredible. I was really impressed with his commitment to come in every day, work hard, put in the time. He's always one of the first guys there, always one of the last to leave. And when you're a leader and when you're expected to perform at a high level, that's what you need to do. And it was great to see, his maturation as a player, both on and off the court, grow as the season progressed. And sure enough, he ended up being the Finals MVP. So, very, very well deserving of everything that he got.
Can you talk about your philosophy about selfless basketball? Because I remember one of the home games that you guys lost, it's because you guys weren't passing out so many assists. Like, it only had around 10 or 8 assists. So can you talk more about that philosophy? And it's something that you embodied since you were a player, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's important in the game of basketball because it's a team game that, winning teams, championship teams require you to be selfless. And if you're not, you're only going to cause problems somewhere. It could be in the elimination, it could be in the semifinals, even if you're fortunate enough to reach the finals. If you don't have that selfless culture throughout the whole team, from the first guy down to the last guy on the bench, it's going to be tough. And that's something, like you said, that I really tried to preach to our team from early on in the season. That we have to trust one another. That when we're out there, we're trying to make the best play possible. And I used to always tell our guys, when you pass the ball, you create energy on the court amongst your teammates. And if you pass the ball enough, you create enough energy where the energy finds where the ball's supposed to go. I said it's a strange thing, but it works. And again, I just tried to encourage our guys throughout the season to just try to continue to create energy with the pass. Be unselfish and trust that the ball will find whoever it is that's open and who's supposed to take the shot. And again, we were one of the best assist teams throughout the season. So it was great to see guys buy into that philosophy, and it was a big help for us throughout the season.
Yes, and your point guards, Josh Orbestando and Paulo Havelona, it seems like in the later part of the season that Josh was having hasn't had an injury, and Paulo seemed to step up. So can you talk about their development, like as the main point guards of the team? Yeah,
one of the first guys that I reached out to was Josh Orbestando. He and I competed a lot throughout my career. And I always respected how he approached the game. I know his nickname is the Fireball, but he really played with that fire and that competitiveness. And it's something, as a competitor, it's something that you can appreciate and something you can respect. And I always knew that no matter what team Josh played for in the past, there was always that leadership quality that he had. And it was going to be important for our team because we had a relatively younger team, and I felt like we needed that veteran presence. Guys like Josh and even Don Huntaveros, who came on board, I felt like their leadership was going to be big for our team. And to start the season, Josh was incredible. He was playing great, and it really made it difficult for us to find minutes for Pau because it's only a 40-minute game. We still had Pomboy Raimundo. Ray Parks was playing point guard for us at times, and so it really became a minutes crunch to try to find time for Pau. But the great thing for Pau, when Josh got injured in Davao against Saigon, it was like the door opened for Pau to step in and take advantage of the opportunity. And to his credit, even when he wasn't playing early in the season, he was still there early. He was still staying late, still had a great attitude. And again, I was just encouraging him, like, Pau, please just be patient with me. We will need everybody along this journey if we're going to get to the end. And, when Josh went down with that injury, he stepped in, and it seemed like us as a team just kind of moved on seamlessly. And Josh was still there helping him while he was injured. And, Pau really just kind of took the reins of the team and played really well. So I was happy for him.
Wow, he just really proved himself out there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, and for your finals, your finals opponent, Mono Vampire. So you were against the Maltese Italian Samuel De Gara. So how did you guys prepare for tall tasks like him?
Very, very difficult. A lot of sleepless nights preparing for Sam De Gara because, he's just a huge, huge presence in the middle for Mono Vampire. When you're 7'5", at least 350 pounds, you can't move the guy. So it was going to be really important for us to try to sustain a fast pace of the game, to keep him running and hopefully just wear him down because he's so big and so heavy that, he wouldn't be able to last the whole game. And, again, credit to our guys, credit to our point guards for pushing the ball, and guys like Balk and J.R. Alabanza and Lawrence Domingo for doing their best to just try to contain him when he was in the paint. But it was a really, really tough task because he was a really, really good player.
Yeah, well, to make up for speed, they had Filipino players, Jason Brickman and Paul Zamar, and they were being stars in Mono Vampire. So what do you think of their decision to actually play in Thailand and in the ABL instead of going to the PBA?
Well, I think, again, you always want to try to have, the best Filipino players play for Alab, but I think they had an opportunity to play with Mono, and you have as a player you have to take opportunities when they come, and I was really impressed with both Jason and Paul the entire season. I've kind of followed Jason Brickman, for quite some time now, even when I was still playing, and knew about his game, and there were a lot of similarities between the two of us in terms of style of play, and I've just been really impressed with how he plays the point guard position, how he passes the ball, and really his basketball IQ. So, he had a great season all the way through, and he was another big problem for us going to the finals just because he was playing so well. With Paul, it was the first time this season that I really had a chance to see his game up close, and I heard from everyone that from how he played when he was still in the UAAP to how he's playing now as a pro, to his credit, he's improved his game a lot. He shot the ball extremely well this past season from the three-point line, and he was another guy who played really well throughout the playoffs. So I'm happy for them. Again, as Filipino players, wherever they're playing, it's always great to see them do well. Of course, it'd be better if they were doing that for us, but at the same time, it's still great to see them do well, and even now seeing Paul getting an opportunity to play in the PBA is a great thing. So,
were you able to talk to them, like regarding maybe they have opportunities back at home or anything like that?
I know Jason's looking at the possibility of getting his paperwork in order to apply for the PBA, and hopefully he does, because I really think it'd be great for the Filipino fans here at home to get a chance to see him up close, just like I did this past season in the ABL. And again, with Paul, to see him they just played last night against Ginebra, so it was great to see him out there playing well, shooting the ball well, just like he did this past season.
So now that you're both a champion as a player and a coach, would you say that this is the most difficult championship that you got?
I don't know if it was the most difficult, but the one thing, whether you're a player or a coach, the winning part never gets old. I think when you're playing, you have an opportunity to share that moment with your teammates, because you work so hard and you sacrifice so much to get to that point, and when you get to the end and you get to the top of the mountain, it's something you guys can all share together. I think the biggest difference now when you're a coach, you're trying your best to motivate and encourage and try to teach your guys so that they can experience it. And for us to win it this first season and seeing how hard our guys worked throughout the year, it was a different type of fulfillment, because I was fortunate enough to win championships when I played, and now as a coach, being able to see my players experience it was really, really cool. And again, to see how much work that they put in throughout the season, all the adversity we had from early on all the way through the end, getting to Game 5 of the finals, really special to see.
Do you have was there a point that you actually thought of coming out of retirement to and multitask as a playing coach?
Not at all. Not at all. No, my last season, I left everything that I had to give to the game on the court, and we would mess around a few times in practice. I would get into the shooting drills with the guys just to make it fun. Both Danny Siegel and I would, but as far as any thoughts of coming back, none at all.
Yeah. Did you get any tips from other coaches for your stint, or
Absolutely.
any advice? Yeah.
Coach Norman Black was a huge help this past season. I was fortunate enough to be on his staff last year with Morocco when I retired for good, and I felt like I learned so much. I learned so much from him and his staff. Coach Javi Nunag, Coach Ronnie Maksanok, Coach Gina Fable. They have such a great staff over there. I was able to learn so much from those guys. Coach Luigi Trillo, who's also a part of the staff. Being around those guys, right when I retired, to be able to transition and be around them, every day was a learning experience. So this past season, I would get texts from Coach Ronnie and Coach Norman just saying good luck, and we're watching you. And even when we struggled, they were always very helpful and very supportive. So that meant a lot. And then also Coach Jamai Karin from NU. He's been a long-time mentor of mine ever since our days back in Talking Tech. So, having those guys, there to support and reach out to, especially when we were struggling. And even Coach Tab Baldwin, he was another one who would reach out to me throughout the season and was always checking on me to make sure that I was okay and I was sleeping a little bit and not watching too much video. So, to have guys like that, mentors and coaches who I respect, so much, be there to support me throughout this first season, it meant a lot.
In both the local and international scene, who do you look up to the most, like as a coach?
I think internationally, you look at the NBA and you look at guys like Brad Stevens from the Boston Celtics and Greg Popovich. I think those two guys right now are really at the top of the NBA in terms of coaching. And not just how they coach the game, but it's really the culture, like you mentioned earlier. It's the culture that they establish with their players, and I think it's something that every young coach should try to aspire to achieve, to build that culture where it's not just a team, but it's really a family and a brotherhood type environment. And I think when you do that, you put yourself in a position to be successful.
So there's also, like, PBA players like you, there's also a trend of them becoming coaches. So what's your take on this, and what's your advice to those PBA players who want to become coaches in the future?
Get ready to watch a lot of video. There were countless nights that I'd be up till 3, 4 a.m. watching video, because when you're playing, you can just focus on yourself and how you can play better. I should have made that shot, or I was off balance, on that shot, or I missed that defensive assignment. But you're solely focused on what you're doing and how you can improve to help the team. When you're coaching, you're not only focused on your team and how the team can be better, how we can be better offensively, how we can be better defensively, but you're also looking at the opponent, what they're running, their tendencies. And so, it's something that I learned from Coach Norman, where I would watch the game and really break down possession by possession what we're doing, what they're doing, and making notes. And by the time 3.5, 4 hours later, when the game's done, you have 7, 8, 9 pages of notes that you can kind of go over and study and look at tendencies and see how we can improve as a team, and also in preparation for the team that we're going to play. So, get ready to watch a lot of video. But again, it's if you love the game, if you love teaching the game, and you want to share what you've learned as a player to the younger generation, it's a great thing.
Do you think the personality has an effect on this, like building a champion team? Like maybe your goal to maybe like how you and your players like build your relationship also?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very key component to building a team. The relationship. I think it's one of the biggest, as a matter of fact. Even before the season started, I met with all the guys who we brought on board to Alab, and I met them one-on-one, and we didn't necessarily talk about basketball stuff. I just kind of asked them how they are and what their expectations are going into the season, and it's so important to establish a strong relationship with your players, because when you establish that relationship, you build on the trust, and again, even the coach to player dynamic shouldn't just be coach and player. I would hope that my players would reach out to me if something was wrong with their family, or they were having a personal issue that they felt I might be able to help. I think it's important to have that type of relationship with your guys, because at the end of the day, what we're experiencing will teach us a lot about basketball, but it'll also teach us a lot about life itself. And to be there as a coach, having played the game for a long time, and now in a position to help mentor and teach these guys, my hope would be, not just this season, but for the rest of my coaching career, that I would establish that type of relationship with my players.
Speaking of your coaching career, so what's next for you? Do you have any thoughts of coaching PBA or MPBL?
Right now, it's a little bit of downtime. Try to catch up with some family time with my kids. But as of now, I'm not really looking, at the PBA or the MPBL. I want us as San Miguel Alab to continue playing this off season, because I think it's important that what we were able to build this season, that we continue going into next season, because as great as it is to win a championship, it's even tougher to defend one. So it's going to be important that we're just better going into next season. So I've sat down with our team owner, Charlie D, and the San Miguel management, and tried to kind of outline what we'll be doing this off season to kind of continue building towards next season. And who knows what will happen with opportunities in the future, but my main focus right now is just to try to continue to be a better coach going to next season. I think when you're a player, you spend the off season training, and you go to the gym, and you go to the weight room, and you just try to become a better player than you were the season before. It's the same thing in coaching, but rather than being in the gym and working on your jump shot or working on your conditioning, you're studying and almost feel like you're back in school, because you want to study and try to find ways where you can be a better coach and learn from guys who are much more experienced. So that's really my focus right now.
So it's a continuous learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It never gets old.
No,
yeah.
not yet at least.
But what about your players? Are you allowing them to compete in the MPBL or PBA?
My message to our guys after the season, after we won the championship, was I would never hold them back from an opportunity, to keep playing. So I know guys like Pau Havalona are playing right now in the PBA, and it's great. It's great to see them again, seeing all the hard work that they put in throughout the season, and now they're getting an opportunity after the ABL. So we'll see what happens with our other guys, if they're going to continue playing. But I'm very supportive of them taking advantage of other opportunities, and then they'll be able to come back to us for ABL season 9.
And we have a question from a fan, so it's kind of related to that. So
Sure.
From Jay Maureen, if the players on your team were your own children, what would you want them to get out of this experience? So he's talking about the ABL, this 8th ABL season.
That's a great question. I think I do my best to treat my players like family, and I think as a coach and as a parent, you just want your best for your kids, and you want what's best for your players. And so, I just try to teach them that a lot of what we do in the game of basketball can also teach you a lot about life. In terms of respecting the game, respecting what we have as a family, and coming in every day focused and ready to work. Because no matter what field you're in, whether you're in sports or any other field, the hard work and the work ethic never changes. You have to continue to strive to be the best version of yourself, again, in the workplace, on the basketball court. And it's something that I try to teach my kids, even though they're still small, that whatever you do, you have to try your best. And it's something that I try to encourage our players with as well.
Yes, and from Jover Bautista, if one of the team from the SMB group in the PBA asks you for a coaching position, head coach or assistant, would you accept it knowing that you came from their rival MPP group? Oh, so this is a bit...
No, it's a good question. As of now, we haven't talked about any coaching position with the San Miguel group.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be more thankful to them for coming on board the way they did when we lost our initial sponsor, early on in our season. That's never an ideal situation to lose your title sponsor, but the fact that they came on board to support us, it was great to be able to repay their faith in us by winning the championship. And so, I'd be open to it. At the end of the day, you have to move forward and have to do what's best for myself and for my family. And if the opportunity came about, then we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. So we'll see.
Oh yes, and regarding that title sponsor change, so did that affect the players or in any way, like their performance?
It didn't affect their performance, but it definitely had our players worried. Because we had so many struggles already. We were last in the ABL 2 months into the season. We had import issues again with the injuries. It just wasn't a good time. And the fact that now we're dealing with all of that, and then we lose our sponsor. It's like, okay, it can't get any worse. But again, our guys were resilient the entire year, and guys continued to stay focused, and I just said, hey, we'll find our way out of this. We just have to keep working and stay together. And to their credit, they're able to do that.
What a team!
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they
what a great team.
I couldn't be happier that we won the championship, for our guys, because of, again, it's not easy when you're losing and you're struggling. We heard so many different things to start the season. Oh, get rid of this guy, change that guy, fire me, get rid of, Danny Siegel. We're not built to coach. But it's part of the process, and it's part of the responsibility that comes with being a coach, the good and the bad. And it just so happened, at the early part of the season, it was a lot more bad than there was good. But again, credit to our guys and credit to our coaching staff. We said, hey, we're in this together, and we'll find our way out together. And so, for it to end with the championship was, pretty gratifying.
Yeah, and you guys did find your way out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all for our Rappler Talk today.
Okay.
So this is Jimmy Alapag, the 8th ABL champion coach, and this is just his first coaching stint after sleepless nights of watching videos. So that's one takeaway that we have. But yes, he fought from the struggles early in the season, and now he had a dramatic finish this season by winning it at Game 5. So thank you for tuning in. This is Beatrice Go, Rappler.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
Thanks for having me.